At first, we thought the biggest change was in its mouth, but once we got the close-up images, something else stood out immediately. Its skin looked thicker, denser, almost layered. Around the head and neck, the surface had become tighter, heavier, and far more structured than before. The folds were deeper, the texture looked tougher, and the whole outer body seemed like it was reinforcing itself. That's what made this stage different. It didn't look like simple growth anymore. It looked like the creature was rebuilding its exterior as it changed. And if that process is still ongoing, then this may be only the beginning. We couldn't keep it there any longer. Close-up footage made it clear this change might be behavioral, not just physical. Its jaw had grown stronger, the body was reacting harder, and the risk of aggression could no longer be ignored. So we began the transfer immediately. First, we secured the body with reinforced straps. Then we locked the mouth with a protective restraint, since the jaw had become the highest risk area. After that, we moved it into an advanced observation chamber designed to monitor movement, sound, vibration, and environmental response. And now, we've reached the most critical stage. The lifting system is attached. The hooks are in place. In a few seconds, we're lowering it into the pool. From that moment on, we won't just see what it looks like, we'll see how it behaves. After taking every safety precaution, we began lowering it into the pool. But this was not as easy as we expected. It was no longer just bigger, it was far more aggressive and far more active. It kept changing direction, reacting sharply, and becoming harder to control. There had to be a reason for that. Maybe it was the new environment, or maybe the transformation was now affecting its behavior as well. But one thing was clear. Just look at it. You can clearly see how aggressive it has become. While observing its feeding, we noticed something unusual. It never ate comfortably in front of us. It would grab the food and quickly move away, almost like it was trying to hide. At first, we thought it was just stress. When we watched more carefully, we realized that was not the real problem. It could take the food into its mouth, but it clearly struggled when trying to swallow. That was the moment we decided to examine it more closely. Using a laser-assisted light, we checked the area and triggered a feeding reflex test. What we found was surprising. One of the internal tissues appeared to be pulled backward, which explained why eating had become so difficult. So the issue was not just avoidance, it was genuinely having trouble feeding. It was struggling so much while eating that we knew we had to take a closer look. So we took notes, recorded each swallowing attempt, and started monitoring the throat response more carefully. At that point, the issue was no longer just what it was eating, but how it was swallowing it. That's why we switched to a more controlled method. This time, we monitored the feeding from an overhead observation angle and used a more supportive feeding protocol designed to be easier to swallow. And yes, with liquid feeding, we're not seeing the same problem. The response is more controlled, and we now have much clearer data. We can't just leave it like this. First, we need to fully understand what it's going through, and then continue the process carefully to help it recover. If you want to see what changes next and where this situation is headed, don't forget to follow.